Hey, welcome to another episode of beersandbars.com. Well, I'm back in Vegas again. We're here on the 16th floor of the MGM Signature Towers. And behind me, you can probably see the lights flashing of the Cosmopolitan City View. But we're here in Vegas, and of course, it's Sunday. You can hear the city in the background, and felt like doing a few reviews. So, if you're a fan of Mexican beers, you might have seen a couple new faces on the shelf. And the reason for those two new faces is because back in 2013, InBev, or Anheuser-Busch InBev, bought Grupo Modelo. And for those of you who don't know, well, Grupo Modelo, obviously it's in the name. They make Modelo, Corona. They also have Stella Artois, and other beers like Beck's that you probably have heard of. Now, in order for this merger or this acquisition to get approved in the U.S., InBev Anheuser-Busch had to give up the licensing rights to Corona and Modelo. So, obviously Anheuser-Busch, InBev with all that money, decided to go get us two new Mexican beers that they could distribute in the U.S. And they picked two beers that had been around in Mexico for over 100 years. The first one that they came out with, you probably noticed it last year. It was widely advertised, and it also was the official beer of the Dodgers. And you might have seen it around, Montejo. So this one's been around since the 1900s in Mexico. And, something that Anheuser-Busch did was, instead of, making a brand from scratch, what they did is they brought over a familiar brand to many Mexicans. So when they brought them over, at least they would have built-in customers already. And so what they basically did is they started advertising in Spanish, and then they moved over to English advertising. But they knew from the get-go, as soon as, if you see a product from your homeland where you're familiar to it, obviously you're going to buy it. So it's very smart of them. So they got those customers. And so another beer that they came out with this year, just recently, is Estrella Jalisco. And I know that some of you it looks familiar, and it looks a lot like Coronas. And actually drinking it tastes a lot like Corona, and it also unfortunately has the same tendencies of Corona, and that is to get skunky. So make sure you pick a beer that, if you're at the store, make sure you pick a beer that hasn't been exposed to, well, I don't know how, you don't want to get displays that have been out by the sun. You want to make sure that they're at least in the cooler or somewhere back of the store where they haven't been exposed to sunlight. But it's very similar to Corona. It's good. It's refreshing. Now, Montejo, to me, well, at least my personal opinion is that it's very familiar to or similar to Pacifico. And it has a bit more flavor to it than the Estrella Jalisco. And I don't know. This is me personally speaking. I think Mexican beers are very popular just because they could really go with anything, and especially with food. They're very refreshing. They don't overpower anything you're eating. They basically complement it. I know many of you have, say one thing, if you've ever have a michelada, Mexican beers are perfect because they don't overpower the taste of the michelada. They actually work well with everything. If you ever want to have a terrible michelada, add an IPA to it, because the IPA has very strong flavors, and an IPA is something overpowering. And IPA is made that way because they're standalone. They're a standalone beer. It's a beer that you're drinking an IPA, you're enjoying it. With Mexican beers, of the ones I've tried, they're there to be a compliment. They're not there to overpower. You still can enjoy the food because your palate is not overpowered with a totally different flavor. It's mostly cleansed. It's refreshing. So, I mean, that's my opinion on Mexican beers. And you know, I for one, I love Mexican beers. I love all of them. I love, you know, I know people have their opinions, and they're like, you're drinking beer. If you drink a good beer, you don't need to add anything to it. And you know, yeah, you know, I would never add anything to a good Stone IPA or a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. I would never. But you know, this is a good beer. It doesn't make it bad that you could add a slice of lemon. I've added, in some cases, a slice of orange. I think orange really tastes good with these Mexican beers. And micheladas. I think micheladas, you know, it's just adding another category to the beer game. So I think instead of us criticizing the different styles, the different ways that people enjoy their beer, I think we should appreciate it and just welcome it as just an addition to our big beer family, and that we're adding to it. You know, before beer was beer, you drank it, that was it. You know, and now, you know, we got beer cocktails. Of course, like I said, you got micheladas. You got all these different types of beers, especially from Ballast. And you know, who would have thought we had these grapefruit IPAs. You know, now are all these different types of fruit mixtures now going with beer. You know, we always saw it with the wine coolers or those high alcoholic type fruity drinks before, but you know, the way beer is growing, and it's incorporating, and it's welcoming, and it's bringing creative people into it, and it's adapting to everybody's taste. I think it's a good thing. So, you know, I for one would never criticize somebody for doing something different with beer. I think I would just taste it. You know, now we have people cooking with beer. I love it. I love it when you go to a pub or even these chains now. You know, they advertise that they're cooking with beer, that they made this food, this hamburger, it's a pub burger. You know, it's made with whatever beer that they chose to add to it. And, you know, I think that's great. So, you know, I'm here to taste the next round, the next category, the next phase of beer, the next, you know, big thing. You know, what's next? You know, we had session IPAs. What's going to be next? Now we have Ballast Point coming out with all these different types of beers, and you know, we'll see what the craze of this summer will be. But you know, love it. You gotta love beer, because beer is everywhere and beer is doing everything. So, thanks for watching another episode of beersandbars.com. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube page. Hit me up on Twitter. I'm also on Instagram. I love posting pictures on Instagram. Shout out to all my friends on Instagram. Shout out to all my subscribers on YouTube. And you know what? Here in Vegas, a couple more hours maybe of drinking. And you know, be safe out there. And if you haven't done so already, have a great beer, guys. Thanks for watching, and be safe.